Good morning, hello, and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is about what happened throughout the annals of recorded history. Join us as we delve into yesteryear, not only for an important and interesting happenings, but to possibly even answer questions you don't know you have. The sources of this information come from the website onthisday.com and the smart device applications Historical Calendar and Today in History. For links to these articles and anything else potentially interesting, please check the underbar of the description below. All links gathered throughout the show will, of course, appear post-live stream as per usual. Anyway, I am Xander, and who am I joined by?
Anonymous. I don't know.
Anonymous. Doot, 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 doot. Anonymous. Doot, 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 doot. But yeah. Anyway, and of course, you are you, whether you're watching us live or some point in the space-time continuum. Either way, your presence is muchly appreciated. And of course, today is, what is today? Wednesday? Wednesday, yeah, that's right. January 17th, 2023. So, 24, sorry, not 20. Wow, I'm still in 23. Like, 2024. Wow, like, when you're back in school and after the Christmas vacation or whatever, you're writing your name and the date and you just have to cross out the 3, put in the 4. I just did that audibly. Anyway, let's jump into the history today, shall we? Starting us off main source here. We have an article from 38 BC. Octavian divorced his wife Scribonia and married Livia Drusilla, ending the fragile peace between the Second Triumvirate and Sextus Pompey. Whoa. Okay then. And we're going to move on up to 1287. King Alfonso III of Aragon invaded Minorca. Alright. And then 1362, which is another off source here. St. Marcellus' flood killed at least 25,000 people on the shores of the North Sea. Holy crap. That is a very bad flood. We're going to move on up to 1377. Pope Gregory XI reached Rome after deciding to move the papacy back to Rome from Avignon. And as we know about the papacy, I've mentioned this a couple of times because it's still relatively new information to me. But as we know it today, the Vatican City, as a sovereign nation, was created between whoever the Pope was at the time, back in the 30s, and Benito Mussolini, yes, the inventor of fascism, had a hand in creating the Vatican City as a state. So now a lot of things make sense. Anyway, moving on up to 1524, Giovanni da Verrazzano set sail westward from Madeira to find a sea route to the Pacific Ocean. Okay. So, they're trying to find, to get to India, to get to China, rather than going all the way down and around the Cape of Good Hope, I believe that's South America. So they're trying to get around, they're going around Africa and all that stuff. Maybe that is the Cape of Good Hope in Africa, I don't know. You know what, let's look it up right now. Where is the Cape of Good Hope? Where is the Cape of Good Hope? Is it called the Cape of Good Hope? Yeah, it is. South Africa. So yeah, there you go. It is in Africa. Alright. And it was called such because, you get there, hope is good. So yeah. Even today, sea travel is very risky. Anyway, moving on up to 1562 here. French Regent Catherine de Medici issued the Edict of Saint-Germain recognizing the Huguenots in France. Alright. So, that's pretty cool.
Medici. You're going to hate this. Medici.
Medici. Yes.
Oh.
The bibbidi-bobbidi is Italian. Where's T? She's an Italian. We got to get her in here to pronounce these words correctly. So, 1584, Bohemia adopted the Gregorian calendar. Alright. And then 1595, during the French Wars of Religion, Henry IV of France declared war on Spain. Yeah. Jumping on up into the 1600s, in 1608, and this is another off source here, Emperor Socianos I of Ethiopia surprised an Oromo army at Ebanat. His army reportedly killed 12,000 Oromo at the cost of 400 of his men. Well, that's a major defeat right there for the Oromo. 1648, England's Long Parliament passed the Vote of No Addresses, breaking off negotiations with King Charles I and thereby setting the scene for the second phase of the English Civil War. Whoa. So yeah, and King Charles I would eventually get beheaded, question mark? I believe he's the one who did. Let me look that up here really quick. So, King Charles I. Let me click on him. Here we go. I believe, yeah, decapitation. So yeah, he lost his head after the Civil War. Deposed the king. Oh yeah. And as I say all the time, like, it doesn't matter what time you're at, what government you have. If you're a republic, if you're a democracy, if you're a fascist state, if you're totalitarianism, whatever that says, communist, if you're a kingdom, if you're an empire, it doesn't matter. The power is always you, the people. People are always the power. Don't ever forget that. Anyway, 1773, Captain James Cook led the first expedition to sail south of the Antarctic Circle at 66 degrees and 33 feet south, whatever that is. I don't know these longitude and latitude things and whatnot. So, 2 years later, in 1775, here, 9 old women were burnt as witches for causing bad harvests in Kalisk, Poland. So it wasn't just Salem in the area doing witch trials. It was a whole thing all over the world, or at least in Europe and whatnot. Like, I don't know about Asia and Africa and all that whatnot. So, but like, at least in Europe it was a thing, and that's, I would say, like, the cause of why it became a thing out in the Americas, the North Americas and such, because, we were colonies of various European settlements. Let's not forget that New York, formerly known as New Amsterdam, was first settled by the Dutch. So, yeah. Anyway, while that was going on in 1775 as well, Richard Bridley Sheridan's play The Rivals premiered in London. Okay. I don't know why that's on here, so let me just remove that. Who cares about plays, really? 1779, Captain James Cook's last notation in Discovery ship log. So his ship, the Discovery, the ship log for that, this is his last addition to that log on this date in 1779. Moving on up to 1781, during the American Revolution, we have the Battle of Cowpens. That's a big one. Continental troops under Brigadier General Daniel Morgan defeated British forces under Lieutenant Colonel Banastre Tarleton at the battle in South Carolina, the Battle of Cowpens, yes. And then we have a 1779 here, Maltese patriots Dun Mikhail Zeri, along with a number of other patriots, were executed. So, the Maltese and whatnot, doing their own thing, stuff. 1811 here, during the Mexican War of Independence, in the Battle of Calderon Bridge, a heavily outnumbered Spanish force of 6,000 troops defeated nearly 100,000 Mexican revolutionaries. Holy crap. Like, that is, like, I don't know the percentage, but I'm pretty sure the ratio on that is even bigger than this article we covered earlier here about the Ethiopia thing. So what's the percentage? 12,000 killed versus 400 killed versus like a total army of 6,000 versus 100,000. Like, I'm pretty sure this recent article here is bigger than that by percentage wise. I'm not sure, but anyway. 1821 here, Mexico permitted Moses Austin and 300 U.S. families to settle in Texas after his death left his son Steve. Hold on a second. Let me reread this. Mexico permitted Moses Austin and 300 U.S. families to settle in Texas after his death left his son Austin. That's still, it sounds weird. Well, anyway, right here, yeah, so let me read it from our main source. Mexico permitted Moses Austin, aka Stephen Austin, the founder of Texas, and 300 families to settle in Texas. After his death, his son Stephen led a colony to Texas. Okay, so that makes more sense, kind of, sorta. Like, let me do a quick adjustment so that way it reads a little bit easier there. Anyway, 6 years later here in 1827, the Duke of Wellington was appointed British Supreme Commander. Okay, like, that's alright. 1832, Johannes van den Bosch appointed Governor General of the Dutch East Indies. Alright, so I'm sorry I'm giving you guys some like, nothing articles, essentially. Like, this is from a year ago, and I, once again, didn't do any research writing. So, anyway, 1852 here, the United Kingdom signed the Sand River Convention with the South African Republic, and this is a possible tie-in because this happened the same day, same year. British recognized independence of Transvaal in South Africa. So they were talking about the South African Republic. This is in South Africa. I think this is one, like, these are two different things of the same events, because, politics and, like, treaties and, like, all these various papers that they sign in between nations do more than just one thing normally. They do this, they do that, they recognize this, they, all that stuff. So I believe they are related. Yeah, so anyway, jumping on up a decade into 1862, between this date up to January 22nd, so throughout the next 5 days, BBT Fort Henry, Tennessee by USS Lexington. What is that? 1862. Let's see here. Whatever this is. BBT Fort Henry, Tennessee by USS Lexington. So it's obviously some form of naval engagement. USS stands for United States Ship. And I know that Lexington was a ship named after the, Lexington, Concord that started a Civil War. And this is now the Revolution. The Civil War. I had that backwards. Started the Revolution, and this is now the Civil War. So, yeah. Anyway, jumping on up into 1864, General James Longstreet's command ended heavy fighting at Darrington in Tennessee. All right. And hold on a second. Why do we have... well, this is going back in time, and that's a nothing article, so let me just get rid of that. 1871, we have the first cable car patented by Andrew Smith Halliday in the U.S. It began service a couple years later in 1873. So, cable cars, here we go. You ever wondered when cable cars started? Well, this is when they first were patented. And speaking of 1873, we have this one here. A group of Modoc warriors were defeated, they defeated the United States Army in the first battle of the Stronghold, part of the Modoc War. All right. And then I have something here, just 365 days later in 1874, armed Democrats seized Texas government, ending radical Reconstruction. Oh, that's that almost sounds like I'm reading an article based off of what's happening right now. Like, I'm not going to get into it, but there's something happening with immigrants, in a park in Texas, and now, Brandon is being like, release them or else, talking about current events, but this is, wow. I've never experienced this before in a history show, really. Like, reading something that almost sounds like a news article about what's happening right now. Like Ghost, what, like, did you hear that? Like, what do you have to say? That's kind of wild. Like,
I'll just support what you're saying, but Democrats were very different in the 1800s.
Yes and no. Like, they did create the Klan, to push, that was their, civilian strong arm, essentially, to push their agendas back in the day to secure votes. Nowadays, they have like 5 groups that do things like that. So, like, yeah, I gotta learn more about all that and whatnot. Like what do you mean when you say that they were different? Like, back then, what are your points?
I think one time I read in archives.org, an old book. It was like Democrats were Republicans and Republicans Democrats. It was flipped. The parties were different.
There were flips, yes. Like, I do remember at one point, like, because we all know, like, the color of boys is blue and the color of girls is pink. I believe that it was flipped back in the day. And the same with what you just said. I think that the color for Democrats was red and the color for Republicans was blue at one point. I'm not entirely sure, but things have flipped. You are right in certain areas. So, anyway, moving on up into 1882, first Dutch female physician Aletta Jacobs opened her office. Hey, let's give the old lady a cheer. And then 1885 here, a British force defeated a large dervish army at the Battle of Abu Klea in the Sudan. The resulting deaths were 76 for the British and 1,100 for the Mahdists. So that's another major discrepancy right there. We have another article here in 1893. We have negative 17 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 27 Celsius, state record in Millsboro, Delaware. I'm not sure if that's since been broken, but yeah, if anybody knows that, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Do we have any actual comments currently besides mine? No, we don't. Okay. Anyway, 1893 as well, the Franco-Russian alliance was signed. Okay, so France and Russia, that's pretty cool. In And also in 1893, Lorne A. Thurston, along with the Citizens Committee of Public Safety, led the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii and the government of Queen Liliuokalani. The U.S.-backed coup transformed Hawaii into a republic. Yeah, the U.S. really, was wanting those islands, and what we did to the Hawaiians to slowly ascertain control over them was truly disgusting. I believe it was King Kamehameha II. We had him sign something and took advantage of him not being able to read what he was signing, and he signed away, his kingship. Like, basically just, gave the U.S. Hawaii. And later on, it became a state in 52 or 54 or something, And what we did to Hawaii to do what we've done, it was just absolutely disgusting. And honestly, I'm all for, giving them back, their own kingdom, make them their own sovereign nation, not have them as a state, make them their own country, as they were. I'm all for that. Anyway, 1895, French President Casimir Perier resigned. Felix Freya was installed. Okay, whatever. 1899, the United States took possession of Wake Island in the Pacific Ocean. Oh, we know about Wake Island. There was a battle there. The Battle of Wake Island and whatnot during World War II. Moving on up into the 1900s, in 1903, off main source here, we have El Yungu National Forest in Puerto Rico became part of the United States National Forest Service as the Luquillo Forest Reserve. Or I guess Luquillo, because in Espanol, the double L is E. So Luquillo Forest Reserve. Alright. 1912, British polar explorer Captain Robert Falcon Scott reached the South Pole 1 month after Roald Amundsen. Alright, yeah. So there's a whole thing about, who can reach the poles first, and there's someone who said that they got there first, but there's no evidence of him doing that, other than his journal log, and some people think that he actually didn't go there and he just turned back, but he wrote down that he did get there. But for certain, good old Roald Amundsen, Amundsen. Guys, it's a hard name to pronounce. Definitely got there. Anyway, this next one is a play, so whatever about that. Okay, this is just a random hospital. 1915, Russia defeated the Ottoman Turkey in the Battle of Sarıkamış during the Caucasus campaign of World War I. Alright. Yeah, so I gotta scroll up here to keep in track with this. Ooh, is this the same thing over here? 1915? So yeah. Battle of Sarıkamış ended with a Russian victory over the Ottoman forces led by Enver Pasha with the loss of over 30,000 men of the Turkish Third Army during the Caucasus campaign. So that is the same article, just with more information. That is crazy. They lost 30,000 men in that battle. Ghost, can you imagine 30,000 people dying in a battle? That's just one battle. 30,000 people. That's 15 times how many people died in Pearl Harbor.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, 1915 as well, Russia occupied Bukovina and western Ukraine. Well, here we go again. Something else that sounds like what's going on right now. So, 1917, the United States paid Denmark $25 million, which would be $544,535,156.25 today for the Virgin Islands. Wow. I mean, I knew the United States wants to fuck the world, but I didn't know that they pay that much to get a virgin. So, damn. 1918, during the Finnish Civil War, the first serious battles took place between the Red Guards and the White Guard. Alright, yeah, I know a little bit about that. The Reds versus the Whites, with the Finns and all that stuff. 1920, Paul Deschanel was elected president of France. Okay, who cares about that? 1920 as well, alcohol prohibition began in the United States as the Volstead Act, the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It went into effect. So, yeah, prohibition started. Yeah, right here, first day of prohibition of alcohol comes into effect in the U.S. as a result of the 18th Amendment to the Constitution. So let me add that in here really quick, and next year I will combine these articles. 1923, Belgian Working People Party protests against occupied Rugebrede. Alright. And while that was going on, origin of brown lunatation numbers. Okay, what is that? Let's look that up here really quick. Brown lunatian number. Oh, lunation. So it has the moon. So new moon. In astronomy, the new moon is the first phase when the moon and sun have the same elliptic longitude. At this phase, the lunar disk is not visible to the naked eye, except when it is silhouetted against the sun during a solar eclipse. But what is the brown lunatation numbers? Is this... I guess that's what this is, the numbers of the lunatation. Yeah, new moon to new moon equals 29.5 days, which is a transitioning moon in real time. So I guess what you see here is a visual representation of the brown lunation numbers, I believe. I'm no astrophysicist, so I don't know if I'm correct with that. If anybody knows, you know, let us know in the comment section. Anyway, 1929, Popeye made his first appearance in the comic strip Thimble Theater. We all know about Popeye. You know, the guy who, actually, no, that was Jabberjaw. Like, why did I... Although he does laugh like that, and it was kind of like a universal laugh back in those days. That's interesting. You know, so, you know, happy birthday, Popeye. Moving on up to 1934, the New York Giants rewarded National League MVP pitcher Carl Hubble with a huge $18,000 contract. Which, you know, what is $18,000 in 1934? Let's look that up here really quick. So, you know, let me just reopen Ecosia over here. $18,000, 1934. It would be the equivalent of $425,407.70 today. So, alright. That's still, like, they wouldn't even wipe their ass with that number these days. Moving on up to 1941, during the Franco-Thai War, Vichy French forces inflicted a decisive defeat over the Royal Thai Navy. And this is like is it Taiwan? No, that's Thailand, not Taiwan. Thailand, which was Siam. You know, we all know the King and I, the King of Siam. That eventually became not Taiwan, Thailand. There's too many Thais. Taiwan, Thailand, Thai fighter. Like, anyway, while that was happening in 1941 as well, let me scroll up here. Chiang Kai-shek disbanded the Communist New Fourth Army after the New Fourth Army incident at Maolin, Alhi province. Between the nationalist and communist armies left many dead. Yeah, so this is, you know, the whole Mao Zedong thing was going on, and Japan was invading, and, you know, so Chiang Kai-shek just got royally screwed, but, you know, he wasn't the nicest of people either. So, look at the size of those epaulets, though. Like, those are way too big for his frame. So, he also looks like he has a very small head. Anyway, 1941 as well. Actually, no, we already did that. 1943, during World War II, Greek submarine Papankikolos captured the 200-ton sailing vessel Agios Stephanos and manned her with part of her crew. Alright. So, yeah, pretty cool. And also during World War II, but 1 year later, in 1944, Allied forces launched the first of 4 assaults on Monte Cassino with the intention of breaking through the Winter Line and seizing Rome, an effort that would ultimately take 4 months and cost 105,000 Allied casualties. Yeah, Battle of Monte Cassino in Italy. You know, after Africa, we invaded Sicily, and then we invaded Italy, and then, you know, we did all that. And then we invaded Normandy, and so between our 2 fronts and Russia, you know, after Operation Barbarossa, what a brilliant idea, Hitler, you know. Germany was fighting not 2, but 3 fronts. 3 fronts, you know. And at the same time, so was China, because China was fighting Japan, China was fighting themselves, you know, with Mao Zedong. So if you look at World War II, it was just a bunch of multiple front wars, you know, just packaged all into one, you know, lump sum. Anyway, we also have 1945, the SS... Oh god, this name. Where is it even in here? Is it in here? Like, no, this is off main source. So the SS Totenkopfverband began the evacuation of the Auschwitz concentration camp as the Red Army closed in. So yeah, it is on here, right here. The Nazis began evacuation of Auschwitz concentration camp to other camps in Austria and Germany as the Red Army advanced across Poland. So yeah, let me copy and paste that really quick, and I'll like merge these 2 articles into one next year when we get back to this. 1945, as well, Swedish diplomat Raoul Wallenberg was taken into Soviet custody while in Hungary. he was never publicly seen again. Yikes. So, yeah, he was gone. They made him disappear. 1946, the UN Security Council held its first session. Yuck. So, pretty sure if Pete's is watching, he'll probably say a thing or two about that. Though I'm not even sure if anybody's watching either of us. Hey, there he is, Pete. Speaking of Pete, there he is on YouTube right there. So, yeah. How you doing, Pete? Anyway, moving on up, 1948, the Renville Agreement between the Netherlands and Indonesia was ratified. That's pretty cool. What is the Renville Agreement? Let's look that up here really quick. Renville Agreement, 1948. All right. What did it entail specifically? No. It was a United Nations Security Council brokered political accord between the Netherlands, which was seeking to re-establish its colony in Southeast Asia, and Indonesian Republic seeking for Indonesian independence during the Indonesian National Revolution. Alright. So, and, as we know about at the end of World War II, like, it was pretty much like, okay, stop with all the colonies. So, I wonder if the UN is just like, honored that. Although, knowing the UN, I don't know. Although Indonesia is its own country today, question mark, is it? Like, I believe it's independent. So, anyway, let's see here. The Renville Agreement. So, yeah, if you want to read more about this particular subject matter, the start of a potential rabbit hole for you will be posted in the underbar in the description below after the live stream, as I said at the top. Moving on up to 1950, the Great Brinks Robbery. 11 thieves stole over $2 million from an armored car company's offices in Boston. $2 million in 1950. $2 million in 1950. That is a major heist. Holy crap. Like, I'm not even sure if, like, hold on a second. There we go. 2,000 million, 1950. Let's see what it would be worth today. $24,456,099.59 today. That is a big haul. Like, this is like Grand Theft Auto Online type shenanigans right there. Like, busting out $25 million after a heist. Good God. That's a lot of money. Anyway, while that was going on in 1950 as well, the United Nations Security Council Resolution 79 relating to arms control was adopted. I don't like that word, arms control. Like, so I don't want to get into that, but yeah. Anyway, 1954, Joaquin Cousteau's first network telecast aired on Omnibus, which later became CBS. And Omni Coalition has no affiliation with Omnibus or CBS. So, yeah. 1955, the U.S. submarine Nautilus began the first nuclear-powered test voyage. Alright, nuclear-powered submarines. And I was actually watching a video about whatever happened to nuclear-powered trains. Like, let's see if I can find it in my history here really quick. So, history, because I do want to finish up watching that video. Wow, whatever happened to nuclear-powered trains. So, I only got 2 minutes into it yesterday before I got involved in stuff. So, but yeah, there was a time where we could have very well, like, not architecturally wise with all the Art Deco, but at least, like, mechanic wise, there were, plans for nuclear powered trains, there were plans for nuclear powered aircraft, there were plans for nuclear powered cars, just like in the Fallout universe. So, that world is really not that far off from what could have been. So, and with how things are going, like in that lore, it was 2077 in which the 12-year or the 3-hour war, or no, that's Half-Life. I guess like the Great War happened, like in which everything went to shit and we got the Fallout. So yeah, we're still we're marching towards that, for certain. 1957, a 9-county commission recommended the creation of BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transport. That is San Francisco. Like all of the light rails, their cable cars, and all that stuff. So, yeah. 1959, that's just another random play, so I don't care. 1961, here we go. And I'm going to play a clip after I read this. U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower delivered a televised farewell address to the nation 3 days before leaving office, in which he warned against the accumulation of power by the military-industrial complex, as well as the dangers of massive spending, especially deficit spending. Let that sink in. All right, and I'm actually not going to play the clip, but like, you know what? Let's see here. What was it? Eisenhower farewell address. But I will. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and play this right here. It's 2.5 minutes long, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play this. What do you say, Ghost? Would it be all right if I played this? Just 2.5 minutes of another video. Like, I'm gonna do it. Fuck it. Like so.
A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
So yeah, essentially, there's that. Like, do you have anything to say about that, Ghost? Like, since I played that, because that is powerful, and like, what people need to realize is like that's Eisenhower. He was a 5-star general. He was the supreme Allied commander in Europe during World War II. He was the guy. He was in. If anybody was in, he was in. So he knows what he's talking about. And then he later became president. And that was his farewell address, as I said, 3 days prior to leaving. But like that speech is incredibly, like, that should be broadcast everywhere. Just people need to wake up and open their eyes and realize what's been going on, and that, like, the aspect of everybody just living their own lives and not being involved in politics, we can't do that as a people anymore, really. Like, things are just way too much. And to some degree, everybody has to get involved, unfortunately, if anything's going to change, if anything's not going to get worse. Because ignorance is the supreme weapon of the enemy. They use our ignorance against us to get their goals. And like watching that speech, he fumbled a couple of times with words. If you watch politicians today, now I don't really watch them much, so I may be talking out of my rear end with this, but they have everything practiced. They have everything scripted. They just read off a teleprompter. They don't just come out of memory. They don't slip up. Because if that speech had been said today, those slip-ups would be used as weapons against them. Like, oh, he mispronounced a word. He doesn't actually mean what he says. Like, whatever angle that they want to go with. But, like, just the sheer amount of manipulation and weaponization that goes into things just for as simple as a slip-up. You know, like take the 2000 elections for example, like the whole Florida recount. Because Jeb Bush was governor of Florida back at that time, and George W. was running for president, and they had to do a recount because they didn't fully fill out the bubble, so they didn't fully believe in voting for that person. Like any form of technicality, shenanigan bullshit that somebody can use will be used against anything that they're against. You know, what say you, Ghost? Do you have anything to say about what Eisenhower said and what I just rambled on about?
Eisenhower's brilliant, and obviously he knew what he was talking about, and what he said came true, unfortunately. I think he stumbled because he was truly concerned about it happening.
Yeah, well, he stumbled because he didn't have it fully memorized. He didn't have it, he wasn't reading off a prompter. He was just going off of, top of his head with stuff that he has, recited. He did have it memorized to some degree, but that fumbling, that's human error, And, and I agree with you to some degree as well. He was, nervous, because, doesn't matter, who you are, really. You can be one way or another eliminated, as soon as, you're a threat to the powers that be. I was talking with Cheese yesterday about Napoleon and whatnot. They couldn't kill him. The powers that be were tried to kill him, but they couldn't kill him. So they just they exiled him, and he quit being banished, just like Invader Zim. And then they banished him again, and then they poisoned him. So they did eventually kill him. I believe he was assassinated, but they couldn't do it the conventional way. So, but anyway, I'm going to add this link in the underbar here. Eisenhower farewell address. So this is not his entire address. This is just about the military-industrial complex section. I'm pretty sure these addresses last for dozens of minutes, if not an hour or longer. I'm not sure how they are today, how they were back then. But anyway, moving on up here. Another 1961 article, former Congolese Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba was murdered in circumstances suggesting the support and complicity of the governments of Belgium and the United States. What did I just say? The powers that be kill off people who are a danger to their status quo. And right here, 1961 as well, Eisenhower allegedly ordered the assassination of Congo's Patrice Lumumba. So he potentially is guilty of the very thing he's warning us against. But as I said, and I say this about Elon Musk and about Donald Trump, if you're not playing with the evil at the level that they're at, then they're gone. So it's very dangerous. Once you become a public figure, once you become known in the eyes of any form of populace, once you get enough views on YouTube, you are now in danger to some degree, because you never know, especially with the internet, what some unhinged nut job will do if you do or say something that they disagree with, yeah. Anyway, moving on up to 1962, NASA civilian pilot Neil Armstrong took hypersonic research plane X-15 to 40,690 meters. All right, now let's see, do we have any comments anywhere? We have Pete's there. Do we have anything? Nope, not there. So no new activity. I do have a ping from MTN. Okay, I'll read that later. Anyway, moving on up to 1962 as well. Roy Harris's 8th Symphony premiered in San Fran. So okay, whatever. Hear that. 1963, Joe Walker took the X-15 to altitude 82 kilometers. So that's a lot more than 40,000 meters. So there we go. Then 1966, here we have the Palomars incident. A B-52 collided, or a B-52 bomber collided with a KC-135 Stratotanker over Spain. So I guess a mid-air refueling vehicle, killing 7 airmen and dropping 3 70-kiloton nuclear bombs near the town of Palomars and another one into the sea. I've heard about this incident. Broken arrows is what they call it, and there's over a dozen. There's actually several dozen broken arrow incidents. There's still multiple nuclear weapons out there that are just there's at least one off of the coast of Georgia I know of, And this incident right here, there's like a famous, like in the middle of a farm field, there's like this concrete slab and a bunch of trees around it that nobody can do anything because it is an active nuclear weapon. 2 of the 3 triggering things have triggered or something. I don't know the exact semantics, but if anybody disturbs the area around it, it might go off. So they're just letting it lie until it becomes inert, whenever that's a thing. So, but yeah, like, let's see if I can find the actual image of that tree. Let's see here. No, that's just that. Is it a tree? Okay, well, that's not gonna give me anything. Anyway, oh yeah, I have a note here to banter about that, which we just did. Well, I'll just keep that note in there. Moving on up to 1966, Martin Luther King Jr. opened the Chicago Campaign, a nonviolent campaign aimed at achieving fair housing practices. I am all for that, you know. Let me add that here really quick. 1966, if that's difference. Yeah, so that's what it says right there. So yeah. 1969, Soviet spacecraft Soyuz 5 landed. Okay, you know. 1969, the Black Panther Party members Butchie Carter and John Huggins were murdered during a meeting at Campbell Hall in the campus of University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. Whoa. That Black Panthers were not there was not a good group right there at all. They were fueled by hatred. So anyway, 1970 here. 9th AFL All-Star Game in the Astrodome in Houston. Western Division defeated Eastern Division 26-3. Ouch. Most valuable player was John Haddle of Los Angeles Chargers, quarterback. All right. 1970 as well. John M. Burgess installed as Bishop of Protestant. Okay, whatever. Like, okay. Episcopals. I don't know how to pronounce that word. 1970 as well, Sporting News named Willie Mays as Player of the Decade for the 1960s. Hell yeah, he was. And I haven't said this in a while, but this picture of good old Willie Mays reminds me of my dad whenever he can't find his glasses. Like, they're on your face, old man. Anyway, 1971, at a party conference in Dublin, Sinn Féin and their 65-year abstentionist policy agree that any elected representative could take their seat at the Dáil, and this is at the Dáil, and this is part of the Troubles, like the whole Irish terrorists. You know, like a lot of people don't realize this. Like, you know, you think of terrorists, you think of the Middle Easterns and everything. Well, you know, not all terrorists are Middle Easterns. You know, like there's a lot of white terrorism going on, like the Troubles, white people terrorizing other white people. You know, like the Irish, you know, like the Irish Free State, like, well, not really the Irish Free State, but like the what is it called? Like the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, like, you know, yeah, like that happened, and there's still kind of rumblings going on. It was something that lasted for 30 some odd years, but like I'm somebody who supports a free Ireland completely and totally, and as well as Scotland, but you know that's a bag of hammers that needs to be dealt with politically later on, because if Scotland becomes independent, then for a short time, until they get reaccepted into the EU and NATO, those waters are open territory for Russia to just go by and nothing could be done about it. Anyway, 1972 year, a section of Memphis Highway 51 South was renamed Elvis Presley Boulevard. All right. So if you live there, you know, this is when your street got its renaming. 1972 as well, 7 men who were held as internees escaped from the prison ship HMS Madison in Belfast, Northern Ireland. So, you know, here we go, more trouble stuff. 1972 as well, My Hang Up Is You, single released by Freddie Hart, Billboard Song of the Year 1972. All right. 1973, City of Amsterdam decided to support Hanoi. And what is it, like Hanoi, like Vietnam Hanoi? And this is during the Vietnam War, so Amsterdam was part of the communists? Question mark? Huh. You know, like, let me do a surface level scratch of this. Hold on a second. Let me look this up. 1973, Vietnam War. So yeah, so it was something involving with Vietnam. If anybody knows more about this, because this is one hell of an article to research. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7 words, and that leads down an entire rabbit hole. Wow. Anyway, moving on up, we also have the new Philippine Constitution named Marcos President for Life. That's concerning. That's a dictator right there. 1974, Stein calmed him, and Green's musical Lorelei premiered in New York City. Okay. Is that this one here? Court and Spark, Lorelei. This is the same year, and no, but this is an album release. Okay. Well, I'm not sure. Anyway, 1976, I Write the Songs, covered by Barry Manilow, hit number 1. Alright. Yay, Barry Manilow. We also have a Hermes rocket launched by European Space Agency. Okay. And Blondie released released their debut single, Ex-Offender, written by Debbie Harry and Gary Valentine. Alright. 1977, capital punishment in the United States resumed after a 10-year hiatus, as convicted murderer Gary Gilmore was executed by the firing squad in Utah. Whoa. That's one hell of a way to go out. Yeah, we did that to civilians, firing squads, I think. 1977 as well, KC, I believe Kansas City Chiefs there, released Tommy Davis, ended an 18-year career with 10 teams. Whoa. So that's pretty illustrious career right there. Moving on up to 1977, NFL Pro Bowl, Seattle Kingdom and AFC defeated the NFC 24-14. Most valuable player was Mel Blount of the Pittsburgh Steelers, a center back. Like, what is a CB? Center back, I think. I don't know much about football. I know there's a quarterback, halfback, center back. I think so. Anyway, 1978.
Isn't there a corner?
What? Cornerback?
The word corner. C-O-R-N-E-R. And yes, corner. As in a room. Cornerback.
Huh. Okay. Makes sense to me. 1977, Zaire President Mobutu visited Belgium. All right. And then moving on to 1978 here, after a tumultuous final tour, the Sex Pistols broke up as a band, which was announced the following day. So yeah, we of course have Sex Pistols bassist Sid Vicious on stage during the band's last show. But didn't Sid Vicious, wasn't he a murderer? Like, no, yeah, during the concerts, fought with audience members and attacked them with his bass guitar, as well as fighting with security guards and staff off and on stage. So he really lived up to his name. He was vicious. And then, of course, there's Johnny Rotten, somebody else. What did Sid Vicious... well, this is an Alice question, but I don't know what you know, Ghost. Do you know much about the Sex Pistols and all that stuff? Because I swear it was this guy who was a murderer. Like, murdered his girlfriend.
I have no idea. I do know he's uber famous, though. Wicked famous.
Yeah. I don't know, though.
Is he part of the Sex Club, or was he younger?
He was 21 of heroin overdose, unfortunately. So,
I was thinking 27 Club. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the 20 Club, there's that. So, I'm not sure. So I'm not going to say he was the murderer, but I think he was, because it was somebody with a bad name, like Sid Vicious or Johnny Rotten. I'm not sure. Like, it was somebody, they lived up to their name, although he lives up to his name, with what we just read, Nothing to do about the murders, though. But anyway, moving on up to 1979, the USSR performed an underground nuclear test. Okay, whatever. Like, and this is just more satellite stuff. You know what? What is FLASCOM? NASA, never a straight answer, as people like to say, launched FLASCOM 3. What is that? Like, is it some kind of super satellite or something? Like, let's look at that. It was the third vehicle in the Navy's FLITSCOM communications satellite constellation, which were used by the United States Navy for communications between aircraft, ships, submarines, and ground stations. All right, so this sounds very much like the Skynet thing. Oops, I did not mean to click that. That Pete's told me about. The Aegis system, I believe, is what it's called. And people, you can look into that. Like, hold on a second. Let me look this up here. Aegis system. Let me just, yeah. The Aegis Combat System is a U.S. integrated naval weapons system which uses computers and radars to track and guide weapons to destroy enemy targets. It was developed by the Missile and Surface Radar Division of RCA, and it is now produced by Lockheed Martin. So it sounds like, you know, this FLATSCOM 3 was kind of a predecessor in a way to that. Anyway, we also have another 80 here. Here we go, more troubles. Provisional Irish Republican Army bomb prematurely detonated on a passenger train near Belfast, killed 3 and injuring 5, including the bombers. Well, you know, you get what you serve. So, moving on up to 1981, President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos, lifted martial law 8 years and 5 months after declaring it. So at least he lifted it, so that's good. But for 8 years and 5 months, he was a dictator. 1982, cold Sunday in the United States would see temperatures fall to their lowest levels in over a century, which is 100 years, in numerous cities. Yep. 365 days later, in 1983, we have the 10th American Music Awards. Okay, who cares about music awards, whatever, why is that even in there? 1983 here, Alabama Governor George Wallace became governor for a record 4th time, and he was a segregationalist. He was the guy, I believe, who, like, physically put himself between black kids and a school, trying to, like, prevent them from going into the school, and the National Guard had to get involved, and it became a federal case. It's just like, let the blacks be equal, you know, because they are. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, black, white, you know, like yellow, red, purple, turquoise, blue, whatever the fuck you are, you're a human being. All right. So, anyway, 1983 as well, Nigeria expelled 2 million illegal aliens, mostly Ghanaians. Wow, Nigeria's based. Didn't we say that earlier? No, we said Ethiopia was based the other day, right? Whoever it was who was on the show? Or did we even say that on the show? I'm not sure. Anyway, 1984, Supreme Court rules 5-4 that private use of home VCRs to tape TV programs for later viewing does not violate federal copyright laws. You know what? Cheers. It'll be a cold day in hell when the ATF breaks into my house and prevents me from taping the frickin' NFL finals or whatever the hell, you know? Like, seriously. Like, yeah. Anyway, 1985, Azarden scored second test century in second test versus England. Okay, whatever that's cricket. Alright, so let me get rid of that. 1986 here, and do I have any more comments? No, I don't. Tim Witherspoon defeated defending champion Tony Tubbs by majority decision in 15 rounds at the Omni, Atlanta, for WBA heavyweight boxing title. Once again, pardon me, the Omni Coalition is not affiliated with the Omni in Atlanta, although someday we might. We'll see if we become a thing and decide to buy that. So, but you know, once again, you know, 15 rounds. You got to consider, you know, that's, you know, each round is 3 minutes, and that's 45 minutes in total. Not consecutively, they do have breaks every 3 minutes, but 3 minutes alone, you know, you're boxing, you're dodging, you're weaving, you're ducking, you're blocking, you're jabbing, you're doing, you know, do that. Be a boxer for 3 minutes and see how fast you get tired. Now do that 15 times. Yeah, you ain't gonna last. Boxing is incredibly endurance, like, it is, oh man. Those guys, you know, the boxers, you know, they have more stamina than God, I swear. Anyway, 1986, we have the second Sundance Film Festival, Smooth Talk won Grand Jury Prize Dramatic. Okay? I don't even know why that's in here. I don't care about award ceremonies. 1987, U.S. President Ronald Reagan signed secret order permitting covert arms sales, or covert sale of arms to Iran. And I believe this coincides with the creation of Al-Qaeda. You know, for the proxy war we had in Afghanistan versus the Soviet Union back in those days. You know? So, yeah. 1988, whatever. China stuff, CCP, you know, internal struggles going on here. But anyway, 1988, NFC Championship, RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. The Washington Redskins defeated Minnesota Vikings 17-10. That's not a large margin right there. Anyway, 1989, Al Arbor won his 600th NHL game as coach. Cool. And we have 1989 as well. Gunmen opened fire at California schoolyard. 5 students were slain and 30 were wounded. You know, so like, you know, like all this malarkey happening, like, you know, all this like gun-free zones and all this stuff that's popping off. It's nothing new, and you know, like it's, you know, gun control won't help that by any stand. If anything, it'll just make everything worse. You know, like, I don't want to get into that whole discussion in a history show, but still, like, you know, stuff happens. Doesn't matter what's legal, what's not, you know. And, you know, for all those people out there advocating, oh, we need laws for this, oh, we need laws for that, just remember, apartheid was legal, Nazism was legal. Just because something is lawful does not make it right, you know. So stop relying on the law to be your freaking focal point of what's right and what's wrong. You know, what's right is wrong starts from the heart, not from without, from within, you know. Anyway, 1989, Murden and Metz were the first women to reach the South Pole over land on skis. That's pretty cool. And while that was going on, the Phoenix Suns canceled game at Miami Heat due to racial unrest in Miami. You know, I don't blame them. You know, they don't want to put themselves in danger just to play a game. So, anyway, let's see here. 1990, Dave Stewart signed a record $3,500,000 per year Oakland A's contract. So that sounds more today. You know, although that was wow, 1990 was 34 years ago. Oh my God. Oh man, that just makes me. 1994 was 34 years ago. Or 1990. Oh fuck. Oh my God. That was my childhood. Oh God, I'm turning into a granddad. Jesus Christ.
You're old. We're all old.
Shut
it's
up.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on up, 1990 as well. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees: Hank Ballard, Bobby Darin, The Four Seasons, The Four Tops, The Kinks, The Platters, Simon and Garfunkel, The Who, Louis Armstrong, Charlie Kristen, Ma Rainey, Gary Goffin, and Carole King, as well as Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Eddie Holland, were all inducted into the 5th Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a lot of names. Holy crap. Then we also have 1991. During the Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm began early in the morning as aircraft struck positions across Iraq. It was also the first major combat sortie for the F-117. LCDR Scott Speecher's FA-18C Hornet from BFA-81 was shot down by a MiG-25 and was the first U.S. casualty of the war. Iraq fired 8 Scud missiles into Israel in an unsuccessful bid to provoke Israel retaliation. Well, yeah, they don't need retaliation. They already got their cronies, us, to do the work for them. They don't need to do anything, you know? They don't need any blood on their hands. No, not when they're the puppeting, you know? So, anyway, 1991, Crown Prince Harald V of Norway became King Harald V, following the death of his father, King Olav V. Wow, so many fives going on right there. 1991 as well, Mountie Jacques Rungo beat Hart for WWF Intercontinental title. Huh. So like a mounted police officer of the Canadian Mounted Royal Police or whatever they're called, got into a ring with whoever the hell Hart is. And that's World Wrestling Federation, not World Wildlife Foundation. So, I believe. Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me look at this entire article right here and in images just to see. Yeah, okay, so he was that was his character. Okay, he was a Mountie. I don't think he was an actual serving police officer. It looks like it was a character of his. So, and, yeah. Alright. So it was wrestling. 1991 as well, Andy Van Hellemond set a National Hockey League record for most games worked by a referee when he appeared in his 1,173rd regular season encounter as the St. Louis Blues hosted the Montreal Canadiens. Alright. Yeah, is that even in here? 1991. Oh yeah, right. So like, you know, this whole, going back, you know, to this whole like Gulf War thing. Okay, we have 1991. Iraq fires 8 Scud missiles into Israel. Doesn't say why, it just says that. And then it says here, so like, you know, all of this was all in conjunction. and they have it separated. Right there, you see, they're trying to mimic history. They're separating things. They're rewording. Manipulation. Open your eyes, people. So, anyway, moving on up to 1992. During a visit to South Korea, Japanese Prime Minister Kishi Miyazawa apologized for forcing Korean women into sexual slavery during World War II. Yeah, that did happen. It was a nasty thing. And that's not even on here. Why don't they even mention this? You know, our leftist source doesn't want to make their Asian allies look bad, so they don't say on history that makes them look bad. Ooh. Anyway, 1992, Sarah Ferguson attended dinner of Everglades Club. The club excluded Jews. Here we go again. Here's our article of the day. Like, you know, we gotta make, like, Pete's, Ghost, Cheese, Brad, like, all the people, like, we all gotta work together and figure out a thing, like, here's our Jew article of the day, or something, like, you know, why is the Everglades Club excluding Jews? That's not cool. Like, why is there always an article every freaking day in history where something is happening when the Jews are related to it? Like, what is going on? Yeah, anyway, moving on up to 1993. Okay, well, that's the awards ceremony, so never mind. We have Russian Irina Prevyova cycled world record 300-meter indoor, 35.45 inches. Okay, I don't know what that is. So, okay. 1994, actress Elizabeth Taylor was released from the hospital after a hip treatment. Who cares about Elizabeth Taylor? We also have 1994, the 6.7 MW Northridge earthquake shook the greater Los Angeles area with a maximum Mercalli intensity of 9, which is violent, leaving 57 people dead and over 8,700 injured. I was 7 years old. I was out here when that happened. I was in school or in daycare. I remember when the Northridge hit. Dad was actually like either on his way to pick me up or on his way to work after dropping me off from daycare or whatever, like at 7. Because like I was in what, you know, first, second grade, third by the age of 7. I think first grade. When do you get into school? At the age of 5, 6? Ghost, you're a parent, right? Like I don't know when kids go into school.
I'd say about 5.
Yeah.
Kindergarten.
Okay, yeah, so that's kindergarten. Yeah. And I lost my feed here. Here we go. Yeah, so I was 7 years old. I know that because I was born in 87. But yeah, that was a big one. While that was going on, the Airbus A330 was introduced with Air Inter, a now defunct airline. Yeah, it's too bad Rad Brad ain't here. He's an aircraft aficionado, you know, so we've talked about aircraft a couple of times on this show here. Anyway, who cares about Carousel? We have here 1995, another earthquake here, a 7.2, destroyed Kobe, Japan, and killed 5,372. Whoa. That blows the Northridge quake out of the water. Like, that was a 6.7 on the Mercalli. This is obviously the Richter scale. We also have Australia defeated Australia A 2-0 to win cricket's World Series Cup. Okay. And we also have the LA Rams announced that they are moving to St. Louis. So, yeah, so now they're the St. Louis Rams, I believe, if they're still there. I don't know if is that football? Like, I don't even know the sport. So, like, let alone whether or not they're there.
Football.
What?
Football.
Football? Okay. Okay.
Football.
Okay.
Excuse me, American football.
So you mean hand egg? No.
Correct, with beautiful men and gorgeous uniform.
Ah, yes. So, anyway, 1995, the 6.9 MW Great Hansen earthquake shook the southern Hyogo prefecture with a maximum shindo of 7, leaving 5,502 to 6,434 people dead, and 251,301 to 310,000 people displaced. So here we go, another earthquake. You know, we had the Northridge, we had this one in Japan, and now we have this one with what appears to be China. So, wow, what's going on with earthquakes on the 17th? 1996, the Czech Republic applied for membership of the European Union. All right. And while that was going on, Iraq agreed to talks concerning a UN plan to allow the Iraqi sale of $1 billion of oil. Oh, wait, Kobe is in Japan. Sorry. So it's not China. This is 1995, Kobe. But this is Hyogo Prefecture. Wait a minute. Okay, so this is that one. Okay, so now we're moving on. Sorry, like, I'm trying to keep both sources here connected, and it's kind of difficult. So now we're in 96. Okay, so yeah, Iraq agreed to talks concerning a UN plan to allow for the Iraqi sale of $1 billion of crude oil. Proceeds from the sale would be used for humanitarian purposes. Yeah, okay, sure. We also have Detroit center Steve Yzerman scored his 500th career NHL goal as the Red Wings defeated Colorado 3-2 at Joe Louis Arena and joins Gordie Howe as the only players to score 500 goals for Detroit. Gordie Howe, that's a big name right there. So yeah, this article right there. There we go. Now I'm caught up. We also have 1996 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. David Bowie, Jefferson Airplane, Lil Willie John, Gladys Knight, and the Pips, Pink Floyd, the Shirelles, the Velvet Underground, Pete Seeger, and Tom Donahue. Like, what kind of a name? Little Willie John. Yikes. 1997, NBA suspended Dennis Rodman indefinitely for kicking a cameraman. What the hell? What are you doing kicking a cameraman, Dennis Rodman? And didn't he rename himself to Meta World Peace? Like, Dennis Rodman? Or was that somebody else? Hold on, let me look this up. Meta World Peace. Meta Sanford Artest. Oh yeah, Ron Artest. Okay, that's right, it was him, not this guy. So, yeah, Ron Artest. Meta World Peace, 2011 to 2020. And now he's known as a nerd. Can you stop changing your name, you numbskull? I swear to God, pick something. Jesus. Anyway, moving on up to 1997, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, a Delta II carrying the GPS IIR-1 satellite exploded 13 seconds after launch, dropping 250 tons of burning rocket remains around the launch pad. Yikes. You know, and this is why, like, you know, like, they scrub missions all the time. Like, you know, if you know, they are perfectionists for a reason. If one thing is wrong, one little thing, like, you know, oh, you put on one too many coats of paint on one side, now we have destabilization. Scrub the launch, rebuild the structure, you know? Like, it's that serious. Moving on up to 1998, U.S. President Bill Clinton faced sexual harassment charges from Paula Jones. And we have a possible tie-in here. Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. Matt Drudge broke the story of the Bill Clinton-Monica Lewinsky affair on his Drudge Report website. So I believe that has to be connected, you know. But then speaking of Clinton, we have 2001. President Clinton honored Lewis and Clark expedition, posthumously raised William Clark's rank from lieutenant to captain, makes honorary sergeants Shoshone female guide Sacagawea, and York enslaved by William Clark, who assisted expedition. So that was a whole jumble of a word salad, it seemed. Like, I've been rambling on almost non-stop for over an hour, so I'm already starting to, like, you know, lose it in my head. We still have 24 more years, actually 23 more years to cover. So, yeah. Moving on up to 2002, Mount Nyiragongo erupted in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, displacing an estimated 400,000 people. Wow. 2007, the doomsday clock was set to 5 minutes to midnight in response to North Korea's first nuclear test. So, yeah. I believe that might have been yesterday when their test was. We didn't do a history show yesterday. I wanted to, really, honestly, but decided to take one more day off. Been dealing with a whole bunch of stupid crap in the background, and yeah, anyway, moving on. 2010, a dragon boat from Chung Lung High School capsized and collided with a tugboat amid strong current in Penang, Malaysia, killing 6 and injuring an additional 12 more. Alright. And then, let's see here, we're still in 2010, yeah, so that was in this. 2010, rioting began between Muslim and Christian groups in Jos, Nigeria, resulting in at least 200 deaths. You know, like, sometimes certain people just can't mix with certain others. I don't know why, but, like, certain viewpoints are just, you know, steadfast and completely in opposite of other things. And, you know, like, we are all people of this earth. It's time to start acting like it. But certain beliefs, be them political, ideological, religious, or otherwise, are just incompatible with others. And that is a very big tragedy. But you just gotta work with what you're dealt with. So, that's unfortunate. And if that means that if we have to prevent more people from dying, then I guess, you know, we can't have certain people mixing with certain each others in certain areas of the world. Breaks my heart saying that, but, you know, facts are facts. I really wish it was different. So, anyway, moving on up to 2013, former cyclist Lance Armstrong confessed to his doping in an airing of Oprah's Next Chapter. And Oprah is one that went down in flames. You know, let's not forget what happened to Maui. You know, those people are still getting screwed. You know, and Oprah ain't doing them any justice. 2013 as well, 33 people were killed by a series of bombs across Iraq. Yep. And while that was going on, we have another 4 people are killed and over 2,000 are evacuated after a massive flood hit Jakarta, Indonesia. I remember that. And then we have some more Lady Death articles. 8 people were killed in a plane crash in Chiapas, Mexico. Alright, that's just a plane crash, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. You know, sorry Alice, but whatever. 2013, Japan unveiled plans to build the world's largest wind farm near the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. This must have been after, because Fukushima, that whole thing was what, 2011, right? Like, when was the Fukushima disaster? There we go. 2011, yeah. So they announced, like, if anybody knows if they have been building that wind farm, let us know in the comment section. Anyway, 2014, another Alice article here. 21 people are killed in a self-deletion bombing in a restaurant in Kabul, Afghanistan. Alright, damn Alice with your Lady Death articles, calm down. 2015, American boxer, or U.S. boxer, Deontay Wilder won the WBC Heavyweight Championship by unanimous decision over Bermain Steverin at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Wilder was the first U.S. citizen to hold a heavyweight title since Shannon Briggs in 2007. Alright, so it took us 8 years, but we got it back. Cool. 365 days later, 2016, 4th Democratic presidential candidate debate. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders clashed over healthcare and gun control in Charleston, South Carolina. Okay? Whoop-de-doo. Like, I'm not sure whether or not I want to get rid of that, so I guess I'll just keep it in until somebody tells me to remove. Anyway, 2016 as well, this is out of main source here. Barack Obama announced the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. What the hell is that? So, it can't be good because Obama is involved, but let's see here. What was it? Commonly known as the Iran Nuclear Deal, or Iran Deal, is an agreement on the Iranian nuclear program okay, so Israel can have nuclear weapons, but Iran can't. Okay, that makes sense, you know. So, 2017, the search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was announced to be suspended. So that's the end of this missing aircraft. And we've actually been talking about that on other shows, specifically ThEoD, The Edge of Disclosure, which we do every Saturday, with every now and then there's exceptions, you know. Took this past week off. But we talk about, you know, UFOlogy, paranormal, conspiracy, science, technology, and all that stuff. And we spoke about, there's a theory about Malaysian Airlines, I believe this is the flight, that it was actually teleported, kind of akin to something like the Philadelphia experiment, if anybody knows anything about that. So, we've talked about it in the past, we might talk about it in the future, you know, in another show, we'll see, you know. Like, we're not like most YouTubers here in Omni Coalition. We talk about what we want to talk about, and we don't make series, we don't make entire things, you know, oh, in this episode we talk about this, in this episode we talk about that. We just talk about whatever we talk about, you know. So maybe we should be a little bit more focus oriented, I'm not sure. Ghost here and I had a whole long discussion prior to the show about things pertaining to that subject matter. So be prepared to see a lot of changes with Omni Coalition here. So anyway, 2017, Nigerian military mistakenly bomb a refugee camp, killing more than 70 in Ran, Borno State. Yikes. That's a whoopsie. So, friendly fire incidents, are a thing. They do happen. 2019, China executed Kai Dongjia, the country's godfather of crystal meth, from Bashi Guangdong. Google African Walter White / banter. Wow. What the hell? That sounds like a Sohan comment right there. But they basically killed their form of Walter White. So, yeah. 2019 as well, Indian spiritual leader Ram Rahim Singh and 2 aides were sentenced to life in prison for murdering journalists who exposed sexual abuse of the sect. Wow! 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 What the... Whoa! Like, what? An Indian spiritual leader killed somebody after he was exposed for being a sexual deviant. What? What is going on? Where's MTM? Like, I'm gonna send this to MTM right now in DMs, actually. Like, hold on a second. Like, there you go. Like, that's gonna blow his freaking mind. 2019, a car bomb in Bogota, Colombia. Outside, okay, car bomb, who cares, whatever, more of that stuff. 2021, Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was arrested immediately on his return to Russia after recovering from nerve agent poisoning. Alright, so yeah, like, Putin's trying to kill this man. Then we got here, 2023, Italy's most wanted mobster Matteo Messina Denaro, arrested at a private clinic in Palermo after being on the run for 30 years. Wow. So... And in 2023, we have a revival of the 1980s U.S. TV sitcom Night Court, premiered on NBC TV. John Larroquette is the sole returning cast member. Wow. So that's kind of sad. Like, did everybody else die? Or, like, did they not sign up? Or is it a combination of those two? Like, what's going on with that? So, anyway, let's see here. I'm going to, once again, just do a quick run through to see if there's any interesting... Benjamin Franklin. Born on this date in 1706, an American publisher, inventor, and politician. He was the 6th president of Pennsylvania. So, that's fairly important. Happy birthday, Benjamin Franklin. Let's see here. Douglas Hyde was the first president of Ireland, born in 1860. So that's pretty interesting. Carl Laemmle, a German-born U.S. film producer, co-founded Universal Studios. That's pretty big, 1867. All right. Let's see here. Glenn L. Martin, 1886, founded the Glenn L. Martin Company. Alright. Al Capone, born on this date in 1899, a U.S. mob boss. We all know about Al Capone. Alright. Betty White! Oh man, it's been a year. Oh my god, she's been dead for over a year now. Oh my god. Wow. Betty White, 1922. Wow. Rest in peace, Betty White, We also have E.W. Swackhammer. That sounds like a name for a genitalia right there. Oh, watch out for that Swackhammer, Born in 19... James Earl Jones. Hey. The voice of Darth Vader. Like, as well as, like, the guy who played the dad in what, Going to America or something? Whatever that Eddie Murphy movie is. James Earl Jones, happy birthday. Mari Povich. I know she's a talk show host and producer of 1939. Muhammad Ali, U.S. boxer and activist, 42. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Holy crap, there's so many names today. Steve Harvey, Jim Carrey, Steve Earle. What the fuck? Like, all these people were born on this day. Muhammad Ali, 1942. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., 1954. Steve Earle, 55. Steve Harvey, 1957. Jim Carrey, 1962. Michelle Obama, 1964. What else do we got here? Dwayne Wade, 1982. Calvin Harris, 1984. Jake Paul, like, I almost legitimately vomited with that one. Anyway, what do we got for deaths here? We have Theodosius I, 395. Big Bear, a Canadian tribal chief, 1888. Rest in peace. Tiffany Glass, Lewis Comfort Tiffany, died on this date in 1933. I believe the Tiffany Glass is a thing, stained glass artist. All right. Let's see, what else do we got? Virginia Mayo, okay, Bobby Fischer, wow, yeah, champion. Then we talked about this guy. Oh yeah, that's right, he was assassinated or killed or something. Anyway, pardon me. It is up to you to find the artifacts of our history, but only if each individual reaches out with and for open mindfulness and a yearning to see outside of what you think you know, to grow and to find enlightenment. We have to find common ground with those who see opinions differently from your own and find a better way to be better to one another. And that shall conclude the show. Once again, please check the underbar of the description for any links you may be interested in, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. We're not just here on Rumble or on YouTube, wherever you're watching us. We're also on BitChute, on Odyssey, and many other places, not just video sharing stream, but social media presences and all that stuff. For your dose of Past Events Daily, we stream almost every day at 11 in the morning Pacific Time, which is 12 noon Mountain, 1 Central, and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. We have other shows. We don't just do this history show. We have the Omni Coalition news show, TOCNS, like notable events, weather, and sports, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. The Edge of Disclosure, ThEoD, UFOlogy, Paranormal, Conspiracy, I talked about that earlier. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Kicking the Peanut, we talk about literally anything we think about. Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And we, as I said, Omni Kitchen and Inosh, and we have other shows, that we're trying to get off the road, to get off the ground here. Like, we're just, struggling just to do shows, like our normal stuff. So, but anyway, if you're interested in watching us live, if you're on the West, it's 11 and 3 all for thee. Mountain 12 and 4, watch us for more. Central 1 and 5 for the Contrive, and East 2 and 6 for your fix. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander, and we have Ghost here in the live studio audience. And thank you so much to the people in the chat. Mr. Pete's as always. Very reliable person, very smart, very cool guy to have met. Very thankful to have met him. Anybody else watching, of course, you viewer or you, thank you for watching. And until you catch us next time, whenever that is, wherever that is, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!